Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Red Line Baseball Show. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, and we will be celebrating the White Sox 4-1 victory today over the Oakland A's. We're set to discuss it with my partner in this endeavor. He is the former head coach at Chicago State University. He also did some coaching down there at Selma College in Alabama. Terrance Jackson, he's going to join me, and we're going to talk about this. TJ, how you doing, man?
Doing good. It's a White Sox victory. Always feels good.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we were, pretty nervous about this game, yesterday. And every White Sox fan I know, we were quite disappointed in how the team ended the season with those losing streaks. I know you had some concerns about it, how they were losing. And then, lo and behold, I look up, Giolito is throwing a perfect game through 6 innings. How does that happen, Coach?
It's nothing like 95 and a changeup to go with it.
Yeah, he was on his game today, man. I mean, he was looking like that game when he pitched the no-hitter during the regular season this year. He was just untouchable. Just an outstanding performance for a young guy pitching for the first time in the playoffs. How did you think, he did, his first time out, and what made him so effective today?
Lucas is a bulldog. He was coming at them with his best stuff. That high fastball coupled with his changeup, they just could not get a beat on him at all. He was bringing it 95, 96 consistent. He was consistent in the zone. Whatever the catcher called, he delivered it. He was spot on. Oakland didn't have a chance. Oakland looked nervous. They looked like they didn't have any playoff experience. And Lucas looked like, the 10-year vet with 3 World Series rings. He came at them hard, and he came at them consistently. He came at them strike zone, strike. They didn't have a chance.
Yeah, that was the one thing I noticed too, Coach, is that, Giolito came out and he was getting that first pitch strike, consistently throughout the game against those hitters from Oakland. Talk a little bit just about how important that is to be out there, not messing around, going right after those hitters and being aggressive.
Well, you're able to set up your pitches. If you're able to get your in Lucas's case, he was able to get that fastball across the plate, go 0-1. Now he's set up to do anything he wants to at that point. He can come at you, continue with the fastball, keep coming at you to make you work at it, or he can break you off a little bit with that changeup down and away. He changed eye levels, he changed speeds. And all of that is possible by going up in the count, going 0-1, putting the batter on the defensive and allowing his catcher to call the game the way Lucas pitches it, which is high fastball, change up, down and away.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about James McCann. We've now seen 2 seasons of him being very consistent in terms of how he calls the game, how he works with pitchers. And if we remember at the beginning of this year, Giolito's worst game of the regular season was actually on opening day when he was pitching to Grandal.
That's right.
And, I think a lot of us have forgotten that now. But, I think after that, Ricky Renteria, to his credit, realized, hey, Grandal may be the new toy in town, but I got my star pitcher here, and he's got a catcher he's comfortable with. Is that something that we do see with teams from time to time, that, certain pitchers have their catcher? Because I know Lester has his catcher with the Cubs on the other side of town.
It happens. Not often. It has to be a special connection between pitcher and catcher. I think something like that is going on in New York right now with the Yankees and their number one guy. They don't have Gary Sanchez behind the plate because their guy pitches to someone differently. He pitches with someone better. So, yeah, it happens. Grandal, he caught Lucas the first 3 games this year, and it was a 2-1 record. He didn't do badly, but I guess as the lineups made themselves out, McCann caught the no-hitter, then there's no looking back after that. Once you catch a no-hitter, that's your catcher.
Without a doubt, yeah. Yeah. I just think McCann has been very kind of underrated on this team. people forget he was an all-star last year. And even though he did have a little bit of a slump in the second half of the season last year, he's been very consistent. And all you hear from the other White Sox pitchers is just, how great of a guy he is to throw to during the game. And I think that's very important for the morale of your pitching staff, would you say?
Yeah, the White Sox are lucky. They have, in my opinion, the best pair of catchers in the major leagues. They have Grandal and McCann, both great framers. Uh, they call pitches well, they throw out base runners, and they both can hit. So the White Sox, I'm not going to say they're lucky because they paid a lot of money to get Grandal, but they did get lucky to get McCann away from Detroit last year. He was an All-Star last year, and then they turned around and got an All-Star from last year in Grandal. So it's very important. The catcher sees everything, does everything, calls everything. If you have a catcher that can frame, throw, hit, you're going to have a good baseball team.
Said, his thing was, "This is what I've been waiting for my whole life, this type of experience." That was his quote. And you could just tell, just watching him today, he was really focused. I mean, he had almost like Mike Singletary eyes out there on the mound. He was so intent. And, you saw he wasn't waving McCann off or doing anything. And just an absolutely awesome performance and a great way to start things off. So let's talk a little bit about the news of the day. This roster that they ended up coming up with. We got a surprise gift, Coach T. Lurie Garcia was added like a couple hours before game time. He was added to the playoff roster. He started in left field. Eloy Jimenez, who we know is still dealing with a injury to his ankle, was not in the lineup at all. I wasn't expecting him to play the outfield, but I thought he would at least be a designated hitter. But he was not even in the lineup. And then the other addition, a guy who I had also been asking for throughout the season, Zach Collins, also added to this playoff roster, to the 28-man playoff roster. And Zach he can serve as that third catcher. He can play a little bit of a first base. He can give you another left-handed bat. What do you think about the decisions the White Sox made just with their playoff roster going into this first game?
Well, as far as Zach Collins is concerned, they needed him on the roster because they utilize Grandal and McCann in a lineup at the same time often. If one's catching, the other one's DHing. So they do that quite a bit. And, in there are instances where Grandal he'll be at first base with McCann catching. So they need that third option behind the plate just in case. Anything can happen. You can lose the DH. Injuries happen. So that was an absolute necessity. Lurie Garcia is an extremely versatile ball player. He's the type ball player every team needs. You can plug him in anywhere, and he will provide for you defensively, and most times offensively, he will give you a little something as well. It was actually a blessing in disguise for the White Sox against Oakland, playing in the Coliseum where the outfield is generous, and you need good defensive outfielders to cover the ground out there. We all know that Eloy is a little challenged in left field. His bat, of course, more than makes up for that.
Right.
But defensively, with Garcia, Robert, and the McCann, Engel, the right fielder, the White Sox could cover that ground out there, and it showed today. They did hit a couple of hard balls off of Giolito, and the outfield covered the ground. They didn't have an issue at all, and we can't always say that would be the case with Eloy in left field or even Manzara in right field. Exactly. So it was a blessing in disguise. It was a good move. It's a move that they had to make because honestly, they didn't have another outfielder
I agree.
in their lineup. Yeah.
I agree. So once again, everybody, thank you for joining us. You're watching the Red Line Baseball Show. I'm Jason Palmer, your host, and I'm being joined by Terrance Jackson. He's going to help me on this, and we're going to be here for every White Sox and every Cubs playoff game. We're going to give you some analysis. We're going to be watching these games, and you all can get involved with us on the show. If you're watching us on our YouTube Live channel, you can always leave us a comment. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can leave us a comment. But what we really would like for you to do is download that SportsZone Chicago app. That'll give you access to all of the content shows that we have on the network. And trust me, we're all going to be talking about the White Sox and the Cubs here, hopefully for the next 3 weeks to a month. Is we really are pushing for that Red Line World Series. We think it would be great for the series, and we would be here to cover it for you. So if you're looking to download that app, it's scrolling right there on the bottom of our screen, but you can always get it at the Amazon stores. You can get us on iTunes, and you can also get it on Google Play. So go ahead and get that app so that you're not missing out on anything. Let's talk a little bit, just to switch gears a little bit with what the White Sox were doing. Let's talk about the offense. And the guy who we've all been begging for and loving, Adam Engel, who comes in, launches a home run, also gets a double. We already know his defense. He's the man of steel. But Adam Engel, provided what we've all been watching all year. We've been begging to see more of. Talk a little bit about his game today.
Adam Engel fits right there with the White Sox. He's an outstanding athlete who can play baseball. He provides excellent defense in the outfield, and he gives you great at bats at the plate. He started the White Sox off today naturally. And the White Sox didn't look nervous to me. They looked fine. The big players came to play. Anderson stepped up and did what he was supposed to do. Abreu stepped up, and then Engel came in and delivered a blow that loosened the White Sox up a little bit more and let them know that, hey, we're here to stay. We're a good ball club, and he fits right in with the rest of the White Sox lineup. A very, very good athlete who happens to be able to play baseball.
Yeah, and after he hit that homer, I was watching the reaction in the dugout, and he was going through like, "Yeah, let's go, boys, let's go." I think, I think scoring that first run of the game, very important to jump out and get a lead against Oakland, especially with the bullpen Oakland has. They have a very good bullpen. As you notice, we only got one run after we got the three off of their starter. But Engel, hitting that home run, I think, just made it even more for his case of being able to play more. And, I'm hoping Ricky is going, I hope he's done with regular season Ricky managing, and he's now going to go with playoff managing and play the best players and getting them in a position to play. But, let's not also forget, who the guy who I know is the leader of this team, our guy, Tim Anderson. I mean, Tim Anderson went out there and did what Tim Anderson does, man. He, led off the game with a single. Tim may have had 3 hits today, either 2 or 3. This guy is a beast. He's a leader. He knows the game. He's athletic. He's got power. His defense has gotten a lot better than what it's been in the years past. Talk to me a little bit about, Tim Anderson and how him taking on the leadership role on this team along with Abreu is really going to be important to determine their success going forward.
I think he's the best hitter in the major leagues. He's getting better. Tim Anderson, he's becoming he's working his way into being a great leadoff hitter. But I think he's the best hitter in major leagues because his hand speed is ridiculous. He can wait. He can wait for the ball as long as he needs to make contact with the baseball, and he understands what he needs to do at the plate when he gets up there. He has an idea of what he's doing. He's not always, he's not up there trying to jack the ball out of the park every time he swings the bat. He picks his spots, and you can tell when you can see it in his mannerisms when he does want to hit a home run, or when he wants to hit the ball in the gap, or when he wants to hit the ball to the opposite field, or when he's trying to pull the ball. He is an outstanding hitter who is getting better, and he's fast becoming, you know, a superstar leadoff hitter in this game. But my personal opinion, he's the best hitter in Major League Baseball, simply because of his skills and his approach.
Yeah, and he led off that game with a single. Then Moncada made it out. Then you had a oh, sorry about that. Tim didn't even draw a throw, and going to third base there. He's just got that speed. He's just got so many different skill sets there, and that speed that he brings, and this White Sox team overall. The White Sox have good overall team speed. We didn't really see that come into play today because people, they do hit a lot of home runs. They are a power hitting team. But talk a little bit about that team speed and how that's going to be important in this series against the A's going forward, both on the offensive end and defensively, how it helps them.
Well, just in knowing, uh, if you've ever met Kenny Williams and you know what kind of athlete he was, what kind of ball player he was, smart, very good athlete, very good baseball player. This team is an exact mold of him. Very good baseball players, very good athletes, smart baseball players, can hit for power, can hit for average. Uh, they can steal bases if that's what's necessary. They can run the base paths uh, with efficiency. Their team speed will come into play more so, in my opinion, on their defense on the defensive end because they do lack some skills defensively, but their speed and their athleticism more than makes up for some mistakes that they may make fundamentally defensively. Offensively, they're going to first. This team has so much power; they don't need their speed as much. They can go from first to third on a base hit. They can score from second on base hit. They'll score from first on an extra base hit. They don't necessarily need to steal bases or manufacture or create runs, but they have the ability to do so.
I mean, one of the things you've always said, and I've always agreed with you, is that speed don't go in no slump. So, even if you're just hitting a ground ball, you're putting so much pressure on that infielder to make
Hmm.
just the perfect throw that you can get on base by just forcing defensive errors from the other team as well. So, I do expect to see the speed play more here in these games out there in Oakland just because of the sheer size of the field. So I definitely was very happy to see Lurie Garcia out there. I was wondering if it was going to be Dyson or if he was going to do Nomar Mazara, but with that lefty on lefty matchup, having Lurie, who's a switch hitter, I definitely would prefer him over Jared Dyson. And Lurie's also a solid defensive outfielder too. He's got a pretty good arm for a guy of his size too. So I just think they did some really good decisions today. From the White Sox in terms of management, in terms of who was available. And I thought Ricky, we're gonna talk about the bullpen decision, later on. It got a little iffy, but I thought for the most part he did a pretty good job today in managing the team. And they didn't have Eloy. No Eloy, no problem though. They seem to have worked their way around that. But we all know Eloy is a big difference. What did you think about the starting lineups the White Sox put out there? I was a little disturbed that he didn't put Abreu in that 3 slot as opposed to the 4, because if he's my best hitter, I want him in the 3 slot so that he gets the absolute most at bats. What were your thoughts on that?
You know, you could flip flop them. Um, Grandal provides a professional at bat, and Abreu protects him. So it gave the White Sox an opportunity to utilize both of them because you didn't have Eloy in the lineup. If you switch them up and you put Abreu ahead of Grandal, then I'm going to pitch around Abreu and go after Grandal. I'm not going to pitch to Grandal. I'm not going to pitch to Abreu at all if I could help it. But with the fact that Grandal's hitting in front of Abreu, you don't want to get to Abreu if you don't have to. So you go after Grandal, and Grandal is a professional enough hitter to understand that and take advantage of it. So I don't think it was a bad decision.
Yeah, and another thing with Randall too, and also with him being a switch hitter, that plays a big role in what the other team's manager can do. This White Sox team, they've got, I believe we got three switch hitters on the team. You got Lurie Garcia, you've got Grandal, you've got Moncada, and Yolmer too. Yolmer is a switch hitter, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so they actually have four.
Yeah.
So I think that really plays an advantage, and I think we have to give credit to Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams with the makeup of this team to realize that. And the more versatile players you have, the better off I think your team can be. So a good adjustment there. Not having Eloy in the lineup, but it would be great to have him back, to have him in that fourth slot. But let's talk about our star rookie, our star prospect rookie, Luis Robert. He went out there. He got a hit today. He played a solid center field, which is not easy in Oakland. It's the largest center field in the league. What did you think of the rookie's playoff debut and how he played defensively and how he looked at the plate?
He looked comfortable. I mean, he's a rookie, and they play 60 games this year. And one thing about these Major League Baseball players, once they get a book on you, they exploit it. They have the skill to exploit it. So right now, Robert's going to have to learn how to make the adjustments to the adjustments made to him. And he's a good enough baseball player, whereas he'll be able to do that. He's been a good baseball player all his life. That's not going to change because of a slump in August or September. So he looked comfortable. He, like you said before, speed. There's no slump in speed. There's no slump in that athleticism either. He's going to run down uh, every ball that he can get to in center field. There's no doubt about that. And offensively, he'll make the adjustments. And when he does, hopefully, White Sox are still in the playoffs, getting ready to play for the World Series when he does. Because once he does, the White Sox lineup will take off.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of managerial decisions, so the White Sox, after today's win, are now 15-0 against left-handed starters on the season. So, I looked at Oakland's starting rotation. I think they're starting another lefty tomorrow. And I'm like,
no, actually, they're going with a righty.
Oh, they are. So they did switch it up.
Who I think is their ace. To be honest with you, I think it was a White Sox draft pick, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
A Bassett, a guy by the name of Bassett, but I think he's a righty. And I'm with you. I'm kind of confused. If this guy is leading you in ERA, he's leading you in WHIP. Why is he on the bump the first game of the playoffs? I don't get that. But hey, if Oakland's manager wants to be stupid on our behalf, we'll take it. That was Chris Bassett is his name. Yeah, he's a righty.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going tomorrow.
So they are going to go with the righty tomorrow. I know originally I think they were going to do two lefties and then a righty, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But thank you, please go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
I when I saw that, and I was like, well, let's see how long he goes with this. He's going to start out with this. And so, Tim leads off the game. He gets a single. Then he gets a couple out in the Abreu. You got first and third right there in the first inning. I was like, Oakland, you playing with fire, pitching these lefties against the White Sox. But what is it that you think makes the White Sox just such a good hitting team against left-handed pitchers?
They wait on the pitch. They wait on the ball. They have the ability to wait. Just like I said earlier about Tim Anderson, his hand speed is such that he can wait for that baseball to get deeper in the zone before he commits his swing. And all of the White Sox hitters are like that. They're such good athletes with such fast hands. They can wait on the pitch. They're patient. They can wait, and they can explode those hands through the zone like you wouldn't believe. And the lefty, if it's not a power lefty like they pitched today, someone like Keiko who relies on a little, deception, it doesn't work with the White Sox. When Hendricks for the Cubs pitched against the White Sox, I knew it wouldn't work. That deception won't work. All they do is wait on the pitch and smash the baseball all over the field. The only chance is a power pitcher, and you see how that worked out today.
And I think the real true power left-handed pitcher in this league right now seems to be playing for the White Sox too. And, Jared Crochet. I was interested to see if Ricky was going to go to him today. He ended up going with Bummer and bringing Bummer in, and I thought that was the right decision. Bummer's a veteran. He's been with his team through some very lean times, but you put him in those high leverage situations, and it got a little dicey there in the eighth inning. So let's talk about that. So Giolito had pitched a no-hitter through six, went out there in the seventh, gave off a leadoff single. So he lost a perfect game in the no-hitter. And, we've watched baseball long enough to know that can sometimes mess with a guy, when that occurs. But, to his credit, Giolito stayed focused. He didn't lose any confidence at all. He got, out of the ending there. And, the very next inning at the top of the eighth, Randall leads off with the home run, and Ricky decides, okay, I'm going to put him back out there again. It's like, Ricky, you kind of pushing it here, but okay. What did you think of the decision for him to bring Giolito back out there to start that eighth inning, even though he did have people warmed up and ready in the bullpen? So I can't, say he didn't have anybody prepared.
Well, I think if you'd ask him, he'd probably tell you he'd start with someone in the eighth. He'd bring Giolito pitch almost a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're going through the lineup third time around. It is the playoffs. You're on the road. Get a fresh arm in there. And I think Renteria would, if he had to do it differently, if he had to do it over again, I think he would start the eighth inning with a Bummer. Bring your dogs in. Don't, Bummer, and then your closer. Bring them in. Don't wait. There's no reason to wait. There's no reason to wait, because that's why they're in the position that they're in. Bummer, he proved last year that he was one of the premier setup men in the game. And then they have a closer. Was that Colomé?
Mm-hmm.
He's proven that he's able to close out baseball games. So if you have your starter pitcher give you 7 damn near perfect innings, you bring in your proven setup man for the eighth, you bring your proven closer in the ninth, you go have a beer.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm like, why are we messing around with this? Let's go ahead. I was hoping he wasn't going to pull. One of the criticisms Dusty made was when he did the whole Zambrano thing in Arizona that year and said, well, I was saving him for the next game of the series. It's like, dude, you can't do that in the playoffs. Talk a little bit about just the difference in playoff managing and regular season managing.
Just a little bit more aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more assertive. If offensively, if you're a team that's patient, you work the count, and you work walks, you work the pitcher's pitch count. In the playoffs, you're going to change a little bit. You're going to come out a little bit more aggressive. It depends on your team, of course. Pitching wise, you're coming at it because you're not leaving anything behind. You have 13 pitchers on your roster, and you don't want to go through your pitching roster in the first game, but you don't wait for trouble. If you get 5, 6, 7 good innings, and your pitcher, he knows Giolito is capable of throwing 9, but he gave him 7. So if Giolito gave you 7 perfect innings, let's move on. Let's be aggressive. Let's get after him with the next guy. Because it is a team game. One player does not win the World Series. The team wins the World Series. The organization wins the World Series. From Jerry Reinsdorf on down, that is how they're going to win the World Series from the decisions made from the top all the way through, what the bullpen coach is doing, warming up the guys in the pen. So, be more aggressive. You're going to be a little bit more aggressive in the playoffs, a little bit more assertive, and you're going to go out and take the victory as opposed to backing into a win.
So in terms of the bullpen today, so obviously yesterday when they had the off day, the travel day, so nobody pitched. Giolito gives you 7 innings, strong innings. So, you don't have to go through your bullpen and wear them down. You got Evan Marshall out there. You ran Bummer out there for just a few pitches, and then Colomé with a very clean ninth inning. How important was it for Colomé's ninth inning to be so clean and for Bummer to only have to use a few pitches to get out of that eighth inning?
Availability. They'll be available tomorrow. And that's real important because if I'm not mistaken, this is a best of 3 series, right? So they could close them out tomorrow. If they have the opportunity to do that, that's what they're going to do. You're going to get Bummer out there. You're going to get Colomé out there, and you're going to close out the series so that everybody can get a little bit more rest for the next series.
Celebrating the White Sox 4-1 victory here in Game 1 against the Oakland A's. And, the thing I loved about this win today, Oakland has been a hell place for the White Sox to play, for the last, ever since I can remember. Every time we go out there, something goofy happens. And even when we had a far superior team, what do you think in terms of that history coming into play for some of these White Sox players? And do you feel that most of them were not a part of those teams in the past, so for them it's not a big deal?
It's just it's a different year, man. It's 2020. We had COVID-19. They only play 60 ball games. These guys are just getting their groove. I'm sure they're probably feeling strong. They're happy that they're in the playoffs. They know they have an ultra talented team. None of that other stuff's gonna bother them. They're gonna get out there and ball. Any team that gets in their way, they're gonna have their hands full with this White Sox ball club.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. So a preview, looking forward to tomorrow. Bassett going for the A's, Keuchel going for the White Sox. Could you hear me there, Terrance?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear that question.
Let me rephrase that. Going into tomorrow, going against Bassett, he is a righty. Going against his White Sox lineup, what do the White Sox need to do different tomorrow going against a right-handed starter to get a victory?
Nothing. Pound the baseball. That's the name of their game. Pound the baseball. Be fundamental on their defense. Keuchel, again, first pitch strikes. Do what your catcher tells you to do, or if you call I don't know how it works with those two.
Mm-hmm.
If Keuchel calls the game, hey, stick with your plan. Whatever the playbook tells you to do against this ball club, do it. But the name of the game is pound that baseball, hit the baseball. Your big guns come out. Anderson, Abreu, pound the baseball. We need Makata to do a little something tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna need Robert to continue to make the adjustments and to show what the potential that he has as a ball player. I imagine Manzara will be in the lineup tomorrow, and he needs to produce. We need him to produce. We need Madrigal to get on base and do whatever it is that he does
with his little magic wand
when he gets on base. But as long as if Anderson's producing, if Abreu's producing, Grandal, we need. You're going to see the same results that you saw today. We need Makata. He's going to be on the left side tomorrow. So, hey, let's
Mhm.
let it go. Let's get to work on him and close him out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think after the week they put us through last week, they owe us getting this thing over with tomorrow. I think it
I
will.
I agree.
I think it would just calm everybody down tomorrow if they could just go ahead and get this thing over with. First pitch tomorrow is 2:10 Central Time, and you, my friend, and I will be pulling double duty because the Cubs play the Marlins tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So we are going to be we're going to be humping. We're going to have two games to analyze here. So I'll have probably the Cubs on the computer, the White Sox on the big screen. Let's just talk a little bit about the Cubs real quick on this broadcast. What are we looking from for the Cubs tomorrow as they go against the Fighting Fish from Miami?
Oh my God, the Cubs. The Cubs has got to be the most frustrating team that I've ever rooted for in Chicago because of the talent.
Mm-hmm.
They have just they have talent and experience,
Mm-hmm.
and they just for the last 3 years they just have not hit the baseball in September. I'm not sure. Well, I have an idea of what it is. I do believe they're swinging for contracts,
Mm.
uh, which is never a good thing.
Mm.
But uh, hopefully, because we have seen them have the ability to make the adjustments to get base hits when they need to drive in runs when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
However, they don't do it on a consistent basis, and it's frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating for David Ross as it was for Joe Madden when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating that they aren't more consistent in that regard. So what we need from the Cubs, first of all, who's their leadoff hitter
Mm.
and what is he going to do? I guess Ian Happ's been doing it for most of the year, uh, and he's been pretty good this year, but he hasn't been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
It's feast or famine with him. Home run, strikeout, home run, strikeout. Um, Same thing going down the line. Rizzo's been inconsistent. Bryant's been hurt. Uh, uh, the, the shortstop, he's just been swinging all over the place. Um, Whoever plays second base, I mean, it's just been Jason Hayward's been the most consistent player on their team, and and offensively, he's been challenged the last couple of years, but he's been pretty good this year. So, what are we going to get out of him? Schwarber, where has he gone? I mean, this is you know, let's see what they're going to do offensively, defensively, pitching wise, they're going to be fine. They have very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their pitchers are outstanding. As far as performance is concerned, when they
Mm-hmm.
get on the mound. Uh, Offensively, what are they going to do? What is it? Are we going to be swinging for the fences every time we get up to the plate? Or are we going to try and create and manufacture runs? What I've seen from David Ross over the last couple of weeks is him utilizing Billy Hamilton,
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Maben,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other guys to see if they have the ability to manufacture runs and create an offensive identity. Um, it will be his lineup will be very interesting tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
His lineup will be very interesting because Hayward's going to be in a lineup, Ian Happ's going to be in a lineup. Will Schwarber be in a lineup? And will he be in a lineup as a DH? And
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, who's going to be in left field? Now,
Right.
if you put Billy Hamilton in left field, are you going to leave Billy Hamilton off? He's really not a leadoff hitter, but do the Cubs really have a leadoff hitter? No, they don't. Cameron Maben, is he going to be in the lineup, and where would he hit in the lineup if he's in left field? So it's going to be real. their lineup's going to be really interesting.
Well, and adding that to, the Miami Marlins, who are in the playoffs and they all going, we don't know how we got here. They were one of the worst teams in the league last year. But what the thing you've always said about that organization, Terrance, is that they always have a farm system. They keep a farm system no matter what.
Arms, baby.
And you can almost bet on it every 5 or 6 years. They're gonna get one of them super squads to just kind of come out of nowhere, and next thing you know, here they are competing for a championship. It's the history of that organization, and they've got some very good young pitchers. Tomorrow, I think they're starting. Oh, what's his name? Alcantara. I think it's starting for them tomorrow. For the Marlins, he is. Yeah. He's a very good young pitcher. They got so many young prospects. What is the thing that the Cubs need to take serious about playing these Marlins? Because like you said, the Cubs seem to have veteran players who are swinging for contracts, whereas the Marlins have just got a bunch of young players who are just happy to be there.
They better hope Hendricks is on his game. Plain and simple. If Hendricks is on his game, they won't have to worry about the Marlins' bats per se. They only have to worry about theirs. They need to score some runs, and they need to score big, and they need to come out off. They need to score some runs. They need to really set some sort of an offensive identity for the playoffs. Something, because again, their pitching and defense is good. Hendricks, if he's on, he's almost unhittable sometimes. Yu Darvish, he throws 90 pitches. He's really hard to hit. Lester is on the downside of his career, but he has the ability to work his way through lineups. Then they still have Quintana, and I'm not sure who else is healthy in their lineup right now. But pitching wise, defensive wise, they're going to be okay. They need to set some sort of an offensive identity that will propel them through the playoffs.
Yeah, it's almost as if you kind of wish at times you could blend the White Sox and the Cubs together this year, because the White Sox have a powerful offense, and their defense and starting pitching is going to be shaky, and I'm very concerned with who we're starting. If there is a third game, which is why Keuchel really needs to come out tomorrow, and they need to put this thing to rest, because you don't want to get deep into the White Sox starting rotation. But I do agree with you with the Cubs. They're very frustrating to watch, just because the talent is there. I don't know if Chris Bryant, coming out the other day and saying I don't really give a S no more about what people are saying, if that's what he needed to do. I don't know what type of pressure he's under, but I do kind of agree with you. I hadn't thought about that perhaps they are all thinking about their money. And maybe had Theo just went ahead and signed these guys to long-term deals before the season, if that would take the pressure off of them and they would do better. But we'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow, because I can tell you, if the Cubs do not get out of this series against the Marlins, we can expect some wholesale changes to that lineup.
They'll break them up. Yeah. They may do it anyway. It's time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it for us here. Thank you all for joining us here on the Red Line Baseball Show. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with the coach, Terrance Jackson. We're going to be here throughout these playoff runs for both the Sox and the Cubs. We'll be watching both games tomorrow. We'll go live probably about 15 minutes after whichever game ends first. It is baseball, so you don't really know. You get one of those games going extra innings. Cubs, they start at 1 o'clock. The White Sox at 2:10. So check your local listings in your area to see what channel they are on. But we will be here 15 minutes after that first game's in, and hopefully we're talking about White Sox sweep of the Oakland A's, and we're talking about the Cubs winning Game 1 against the Miami Marlins. So join us tomorrow, folks, and we will see you then. On behalf of Terrance Jackson and our super producer, Maya Kai, I am Jason Palmer. Sox win 4-1 over the Oakland A's in Game 1. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.